And now, part 2. Okay, there we peel it back there. Now you see right there, we got a pretty good grain. And you see right now we test the strength. And see, we didn't get it hot enough right over there with the color one. The colored compound traditionally, by itself, does not have the strength of the other ones. And it's very possible that what I might have to do in this is I might have to maybe put a little bit of the other product, maybe the original Bulldog. That'll give it strength. In fact, I'm inclined to want to do that anyway. But let's see how this works out here. You see how the little line developed there. You still see the smoke, but of course most times when you're doing automobiles and it's starting to smoke, it's okay. As I said before, you always wash the surrounding material. Okay. What I'm going to do there is I'm going to put a little bit of the original Bulldog, because I know that is a very strong compound, and that's important because you were trying to maximize our strength here, and at the same time too, without using a lot of heat that could actually weaken the surrounding materials. Sometimes you can use an electric gun on this too, but once again, it's important to use a reducer tip so you can keep the heat confined. As I said before, compression is important, making sure that you don't concentrate in all one area, because then you could cause an unreversible dimple. Dimples are cute on little girls and Shirley Temple, but not so good on motorcycle seats. If in doubt, imagine trying to explain that's a cute dimple to a biker. We'll let that matter go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to spray a little dye on. Now what we can do, a lot of times if you wet it and you run a hairdryer over it, it'll make it, and you see how strong it is there. Looks like I do need to put a little bit more there, but a lot of times I'll just show you the effect here. Back up just a little bit here. This is an automotive black. You can just put a little on that just blends it in. And worst case scenario, if that was to wear down or wear off, you obviously would have a situation where you have the colored compound there. But you see that where the Bulldog sealed that little part down there, looks like we need to put some over there. And sometimes, as I said before, that underpassing material, which we depend on there, sometimes if it doesn't bond, I mean, then it's important that you put a little adhesive underneath there. So this probably should do it here. Now you see, here's another interesting point. You see, when you heat on top of the colored compound, you got to be careful. You see how it starts to blister. What you want to do when that happens, you let it cool down. Let the blisters, let them subside first before you press the grain. Otherwise, you'll have little tiny little pimples there.
Bikers don't like pimples.
Yeah, but that's right, especially on the seat. Just say, look, hey buddy, is that a pimple on your butt? No. That's not any way to make any friends. My cousin, that was his motorcycle we used. Or one of his friends, I'm not sure which. My cousin, I used to refer to him as the giant. So we grew up, and I realized now I'm taller than him. Well, they're still scared of them, so that makes a difference. They're still the giants, and they... Okay. And I think you got the point there. You see now how sturdy it is? And this is a very, you can see how soft this is. And because you see, when you pull everything, you see how it stretches? But it resumes its shape when it goes back. So, and black is notorious for showing anything. So that's why it's always important to, I'm going to try a little dye on it and stand back a little bit. In fact, this black is not really a true black. It looks like it's more of kind of a gray type black. So I'll have to put another black on it anyway. But it does give us the point and everything. So that concludes part 2. And like I said before, the purpose of this is not only to show the different products how they work with each other, but also the ways of using them with care and how they complement each other in difficult jobs and situations like this. So don't be afraid to take on that job. Just pay close attention to more of our videos, and don't be afraid to experiment. That's one nice thing about the repair work that we do. Anything you damage, you can usually refix it again. It's just that sometimes it takes it a lot longer if you have to fix something you broke. So we want to thank you for that. And as I said before, the Fat Color Cat, we had another video, Fighting Through a Storm. If you see that, we apologize for the light. We started outside so you can see detail, then we lost the sun and tried to compensate with a flashlight, and that didn't work. But hopefully this side today is a little bit better inside. So we want to thank you, DocsTotalPackage.net, Lee Snyder, thank you.